Get ready for an unfiltered dose of reality straight from the streets. Introducing the Ask a Cop podcast on YouTube. Join Daryl Triplett, a seasoned 30-year vet, and Jeff Blair, a no-nonsense 14-year vet, as they dive deep into law enforcement. They're here to break down barriers and answer your burning questions. Curious? Visit askacop.live. Ask a Cop, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Subscribe now at askacop.live. It's time to Ask a Cop.
And hello, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and germs. Don't get caught up in someone's nothing.
We are back.
We are back.
I'm back.
Jesus, yeah.
COVID almost killed me last week.
This dude was on.
I'm back.
This dude didn't have no COVID. He's on the beach.
I was on my deathbed.
He's on the beach sipping Woodford, having strippers dance on him, and all types of stuff. We all know this joker right here. Welcome back to Ask a Cop, people, where you get a chance to call up and ask a cop. My name is Daryl Triplett.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jeff. We have an exciting show scheduled for today, folks. And when I say exciting show, I mean we have an exciting show scheduled for everyone today. We have a guest that's going to be joining us at around 8:15. But before we get into the main topics of the show, there has been a brother lost. An officer got shot and killed, as most of you know, here in Georgia, in the Georgia area. And, it's never easy when something like that happens. It's always difficult for the department. I've been to so many departmental funerals, it's not even funny. And I tell you right now that it is very, 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 it's very sad, and it's very heart-wrenching for the wives, for the children, for everybody that's involved in this. And the incident I'm talking about is Brandon Cunningham. And as a respect for Deputy Cunningham, we're going to offer a moment of silence, 1 minute of silence at the beginning of our show for him, starting now. Okay, all right. Again, thank you guys for dealing with this with us. It's never a good thing when something like this happens. I had a colleague of mine say this week on his LinkedIn, he said, "Quit telling me that crime is down and this ridiculous shit keeps happening." And I will have to totally 100% agree with him on that. It's a never-ending fight, folks, that we have to go through in law enforcement, and it hurts like hell when this happens. But nonetheless, Brandon, your other brothers in blue will pick up the fight, and we will push on, and we will be there to support your family, your friends, and your department. So right now, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick station identification because we have one heck of a show that's lined up today, and we have to really get to it and get on it. So we're going to be right back after this quick station identification, and then we will see you, and we're going to jump right into this thing. All right, thank you so much.
With over 50 years of experience and a perfected 100% American-made manufacturing process, Tallman Pools sets the standard for excellence in fiberglass pools, spas, and tanning ledges. That's right, our pools aren't just pools, they're works of art. Meticulously crafted to bring beauty, relaxation, and endless enjoyment to your backyard. And when it comes to quality, Tallman Pools doesn't cut corners. Ready to take the plunge? Contact Tallman Pools today at 770-478-2257 or shoot us an email at contactus@tallmanpools.com. Visit us at 8993 Tara Boulevard, Jonesboro, Georgia 30236. Tallman Pools, where luxury meets craftsmanship.
All right, folks, and we're back. Welcome back to the Ask a Cop show. We got a very special guest with us that we've been, I've been trying to get this man on the show for a while now, and he is one of the premier top attorneys in Atlanta, and he's going to be joining us today. His name is LoRusso. He's a great guy, good friend of mine, very proactive in the law enforcement community and defending cops and all that other good stuff. Great guy. Before then, we have to get to some business here, folks. Y'all know what time it is. First off, let's go ahead and everybody go ahead, share the link. Everybody like and subscribe, share the link, share. We're trying to break 10,000 streams today. We're trying to break 10,000 streams. We usually come right around 8,000, 9,000 around there. We're close, but today
We're getting there.
we have so many good people on and so many good things planned for you guys. We're going to try to break. We're going to go ahead and try to break it. Again, everybody, please sit back, relax, light your sticks up, pour you a drink. We're drinking Woodford over here, and sit back and enjoy the show there, okay? Everybody like and subscribe and share the link. Share the link. Okay, first thing we're going to do here is we're going to do our weekly game.
A nice trivia.
Our nice trivia game. And it's which one of these is the strangest behavior between Jeff and Daryl. And
You're up first, so
I'm up first?
I'm gonna go first. So yeah. So
okay.
all right. So which one of these is the strangest behavior about Daryl? There's a lot of them, but we only have 3 tonight.
Today.
Yeah. All right. Daryl secretly hates cats, but has an entire collection of cat-themed mugs. B. Daryl owns a gun, but only uses it to protect his stash of snacks from the kids. That sounded about right. I told you anything dealing with food, his fat ass is doing, especially protecting.
I will shoot a kid.
Yeah. And C, I woke up with a cockroach laying next to me on my pillow and swear it was trying to cuddle. Which one of y'all think that is? Answer in the comments. Put in the comments which one. A, Daryl secretly hates cats, but has an entire cat collection of mugs. Daryl owns a gun and uses it, but only uses it to protect his snacks from the kids. And C, Daryl woke up with a cockroach next to his pillow and swore it was trying to cuddle. Which one do you guys think? A, B, or C? You guys already know which one I think it is.
Which one do you think it is?
I think it's B.
You think it's B?
I think it's
Why
B.
would you think it's B, son?
I told the viewers the C.
Do I look like? Does this face look like it's a face that would threaten a kid over snacks?
Yes. That belly too. That belly looks like a person who shoots someone over snacks. Yes.
Oh Lord Jesus. Okay, here. Let's see here. Okay. All right, y'all go on to share the link. Share the link. Share the link. Share the link. Come on in here, guys. Come on in here. I know we're getting started. We had a moment of silence for our fallen comrade. We're getting started on the game. So I see that you guys are coming on in here slowly but surely. Hey, how's everybody doing? Let's see who we got here. Okay. Who all we got here? Hey, what's Mac? How you doing? Good to have you back, brother. Yes. We're on the trivia questions of the day. Jeffrey, one more time real quick, please.
One more time.
We got just a little bit here.
All right. A, Daryl secretly hates cats, but has an entire collection of cat mugs. B, Daryl owns a gun, but only uses it to protect his stash of snacks from his kids. And C, Daryl woke up with a cockroach next to his pillow and swore it was trying to cuddle. I'm telling you guys, I think it's B.
I do like the cuddle. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, what do you guys think it is? A, B, or C?
A, B, or C.
Bring me those answers in here. A, B, or C? If not, we're gonna go ahead on and see here. Give me a little drum roll here.
Drum roll. All right, which one is it?
C.
C.
Read it.
I woke up with a cockroach next to my pillow and thought it was trying to cuddle.
Okay.
Hey, was that more than
Someone
just-
said A. Yeah, that's what I said A. Hey, look, let me tell you, quick story. And when Lance come on, I'm sure, because Lance is also a former police officer also. Jeff knows, because he was one of my roommates a few years ago when this happened. And we had a little apartment. I don't know if I can say the city or not, but anyway, it was in the Clayton County area somewhere. And it was a free little apartment, and we decked the apartment out, stuff like that. And the only problem, hey, what's up? The only problem with this apartment is occasionally it would have a roach or two running around it.
Look, friend. Liz said C. So Liz got it right.
Liz got it right. Liz, you got it right. You got it right. It was C. And we had, a little bit of a bug problem. And I woke up one morning and there was a roach looking me right in the face. Well, let me tell you something. All this police training I had for 30 years went out the door. I screamed like a little lady. I know that in our apartment was right next door to the rental office. So I know they're like, what the hell is going on?
What is going on with it?
But yep, it's C. Liz, you win a t-shirt. We will get you a t-shirt. Okay. All right. So let's do this guy over here now. I come over today to get the question. Okay. All right. Well, you missed the first one, but here's the second one. Okay. Which of these strange behaviors is true about Jeff? Jeff insists on wearing a suit and tie whenever he orders takeout, claiming it's fine dining at home. That sounds like something stupid he would do. Jeff loves fine dining, but only when he can share the experience with strangers he just met at the restaurant. That is creepy, isn't it? You don't have any friends. C. Jeff has a habit of introducing himself as a celebrity chef from Augusta, Georgia. Ooh, Augusta, Georgia being the key word there, even though his cooking skills are questionable. Which one do y'all think it is? A, B, or C? Oh, I think I know which one this is. I think I know which one this is.
Jeff, we really missed you. Thank you, Aziz.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah, he's
COVID
back.
tried to take me out, but I'm back now.
Which one do y'all think it is? A, B, or C? Y'all need me to read them one more time. Bring me those answers.
One more time.
How are you, brothers? Hey, Joseph, we good. We good. Okay, let me read them one more time. A, Jeff insists on wearing a suit and tie whenever he orders takeout, claiming it's fine dining at home. B, Jeff loves fine dining only if he can share the experience with strangers. You know he don't got no friends, all right? He just met at the restaurant. C, Jeff has a habit of introducing himself as a celebrity chef from Augusta, Georgia, even though his cooking skills are questionable. And we all know which one.
We got a couple. We got A's, we got B's, we got C's.
Woo! Someone said A, B. No,
Mike says A. BJ says C. And who's this?
Jeff can cook, laugh out loud. I don't know who that guy is. Who's that? Oh, BJ.
Yeah,
Hey.
we always on the grill together.
Okay.
Always on the grill. Man, we jump. Wait,
Okay.
We got 5,000 people in here. All right.
5,018 screens. 5,018 screens. Everybody like to cheers. Cheer to you guys. Cheers.
All right, so we got A. We got A. All right.
Drum roll, please.
Oh,
shit.
The answer is A.
Jeff insists on wearing suits and ties whenever he's ordering takeout, claiming it's fine dining.
Not all the time. Yeah, I just want to look nice, feel good. I'm at home by myself with no friends, like Daryl tell it, which is also true. So yeah. It's gonna be.
Son, that's a little creepy. Okay, that's a little creepy for the Uber or for the not the Uber driver, but what do you call people who deliver the food?
Uber Eats or
Uber Eats, yeah, DoorDash. That's a little creepy for the DoorDash.
Come on in. You want something? You probably already nicked them up anyway.
Son of a gun, mother lovers.
Oh, man.
All right, so there you guys go. There you have it right here. Hey, Liz is with us. Liz is with us again. All right. Hey, you guys, pour you one, take a hit of your sticks there and sit back and enjoy the show. We got a hot one for you today. Here, like and subscribe to the channel at youtube.com, at askacop.com. All right. Once again, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we got to introduce someone to you that's very, very special to the show. He's a very good friend of the show. His name is Lance LoRusso, and I want to go ahead and introduce Lance LoRusso. Can you go ahead, producer, and go to the next slide real quick and introduce him and then bring him on board?
Lance LoRusso is a distinguished attorney and a staunch advocate for law enforcement and all first responders, both in the legal system and in the media. With over 30 years of public safety experience, and as an EMT, a cop, and a police trainer, Lance has made a significant contribution to the field. In 2021, he was honored as Attorney of the Year by the National Fraternal Order of Police. Throughout Lance's career, he has represented over 175 first responders involving shootings and critical incidences. As well as injured first responders, he's founded the Blue Line Lawyer Institute, a think tank dedicated to law enforcement officers in their legal counsel. Additionally, he is an accomplished author, having written educational books for first responders and fictional books also inspired by his real-life experiences. Lance and I have previously tackled some of Atlanta's biggest challenges and controversial topics regarding police use of force during our appearance on WAOK News Talk Radio back on July 7, 2022. Lance is honored to speak with us today. So please join me in welcoming my friend, Lance LoRusso.
Lance. Hold on, we got some. Hey, Lance LoRusso is in the house, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. Lance, are you with us?
I am here.
This
is exciting.
How you doing, buddy? Glad
I like the trivia questions. You know, I'm learning a lot from these trivia questions. I might have to try Jeff's trick, man. You know, if the wife's out of town, just put a tux on and order some pizza. But I will say, I don't know about kids, but I will cut someone over a piece of Carvel cake. I'm just telling you. You got to know your limitations.
You don't know your limitations. Let me ask you, how was your fishing trip? You went fishing last week, wasn't it? You had a fishing trip. How was it? Did you catch anything?
Yeah, we did. We were up in Maine and fishing for some salmon and trout, and it was great. A lot of smallmouth bass up there, and dropped out a little bit. It was a great time and beautiful weather. Left the 95-degree weather here and went up to about 55, 58 at night. It was nice.
Wow. Okay. Well, man, I can't tell you how excited we are to have someone with your reputation on the show, buddy. You are probably one of the first lead attorneys that we've had on the show for this season. This is something new that we started, Lance. And as Lance knows, I think it was I think they sort of got it wrong, Lance, on your intro. It was 2020 when we did that first interview.
I think it was right in the middle of all the craziness. I think that's right.
It was 2020 when we first did our first interview together. And I called Lance up and I said, hey, he was representing a very high profile case and they wanted to interview me. And I said, well, we'll interview, but to be fair, I would like to have Lance LoRusso, his attorney, on also. And so I called Lance up and I finally get through to him. You know, it's like reaching the president when you're dealing with this guy right here. Come on, Jesus Christ. His secretary calls me back and I says, hey, I got something hot I want Lance to come on with me. And I'll be damned if he didn't drop what he did. And he said, absolutely. And he got on WAOK with us and we went live. And when I tell you, we had just about the whole city of Atlanta calling in there. They said it was the highest that they've had in a very long time with that. But Lance hung in there with us, and he's about educating people, and that's what we did to the people of Atlanta. And I think that sort of helped out a little bit as far as easing the tension, because everybody sees stuff like that and they want to go to right, and not understand what the law says and stuff like that. So Lance, again, thank you, brother, for doing that, and I appreciate you being on the show here.
Thank you. You guys are getting some good messages out too. And if nothing else, it's kind of like when I wrote Hunting of Men. People said, what's your main character going to be like? I said, well, if you're looking for the alcoholic homicide detective with 7 ex-wives who beats everybody up, go read somebody else's book. You want to know what cops are like? Cops are funny. The cops are extroverts. Cops are introverts. And you guys are getting that message out too. You're letting people know that police are just people, and you have no idea how valuable that is.
Cheers, brother. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
And there's a reason why I wore my orange hoodie today too, because if you ever see me in anything orange other than this hoodie, please come a running.
I was going to say, I don't know why he put on orange. We had to take
how about this? If I see, I'll honk at you on the side of the road while you're picking stuff up. How about that?
Yeah.
There go goddamn Lance. Jesus Christ.
Service.
But thank you, brother, coming on the show. So Lance, if you don't mind, we have run about 7,279 streams right now going on here. And guys, like and share the streams, please. Like and share the streams. Let's get this up to over 10,000, please. We got Lance LoRusso on with us, and we have some questions that we want to ask Lance that our producers and Jeff and I, really want to pick your brain on. And I'll go first if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
all right.
Liz said you got on your prison jumpsuit.
And before we get started on the questions, if you don't mind, I really appreciate you having your moment of silence. The funeral is tomorrow at 2:00. And if people can, and I understand trying to get into those funerals is crazy, go line the route. And people have complained before about, the traffic backup. It is perfectly acceptable to stop the world to bury a hero. And my lawyers and I were out there that night. We didn't know how that was going to go. But the response from law enforcement was tremendous. The response from the public has been incredible. And that family is going to need your support. And so is that department.
Yes, absolutely. And Lance, like I said earlier today, buddy, I've been to so many officer down funerals, and it's never a good time for it. It's never acceptable in our community to shoot a cop or to shoot and kill anybody, let alone a cop. If you'll shoot and kill a cop, heaven help us all, because we are the thin blue line. We are the tip of the sword. When you're in dire need and you're at your worst time, who are you calling? I say it all the time. I say it in my stand-up. You're not calling Tyrone. You're calling 911, and they're giving you the cops. So like us, hate us, whatever, at the end of the day, when you're at your lowest moment, this is the ugly face you're going to see at your door trying to save your life.
And remember, nobody ever called 911 when they were scared and was praying that a guardian showed up. They wanted a no-holds-barred warrior to be decisive and take control and save them.
Yeah. Roger that.
That's true.
So getting into your question, Lance, very, very, very important. So Lance, with your extensive background as both a former police officer and an attorney, what motivated you? Our people want to know what motivated you to transition from law enforcement to law practice and specifically representing first responders?
It's probably going to surprise a bunch of people, but I absolutely love the law. I am so enamored with the law. It forms the fiber of our society. It's the backbone of our society. Unfortunately, we're seeing how much that's true, because if you look at some of these communities that have decided to celebrate lawlessness, they're falling apart. And it's not just that they're falling apart because criminals are getting out of jail. People can't go walk to the local restaurant. They can't have their kids sit outside on the bus stop. They can't let their kids stay home for 30 minutes between mom and dad getting home and when the bus leaves. And it's just the fabric of society. I was in Michigan this week. I'm representing a federal officer that was charged with murder. And it was really cool. I stood in front of a federal judge and cited a case from 1883. So, the law just forms so much of what we do. And it's fascinating. It's a history lesson. And then so far as representing law enforcement, law enforcement officers are going to make mistakes because they're people. And unfortunately, right now, the more we're shorthanded and the more we have officers working extra hours and departments are trying to answer 911 calls and even, get out there within a reasonable time, officers are going to make more mistakes. But the bottom line is society counts on officers to do things that no one else wants to do, to rush to people when everybody else is running the other way, to look out for society to predict where crime is going to happen and try to suppress it. And, they deserve the best we can give them. They deserve our A game every day. And I tell people all the time, I get to represent heroes every day. It's the best job in the world.
Wow. Okay. Excellent answer. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So, next question, and this is, one that we talk about a lot here. And I think we talked about one of the cases a couple weeks ago with Sean Brooks. So the next question that I have is, with your firm handling a lot of high-profile cases involving use of force incidents, can you share, what has been your most challenging case that you've worked on to date, and explain why that was particularly difficult?
Wow, great question. There's been several that are very high-profile, and I can tell you, I'll give you a general, and then I'll give you a specific.
Okay.
General is when the world is fallen down around a police officer. And whether they have been injured in the line of duty, we represent an officer right now who got injured in a car wreck. He was the go-to guy, and now he has a traumatic brain injury and can't be left alone. So seeing that world fall down around them, and then sometimes with these high-profile officer-involved shootings,
Lucy.
a lot of times people stay away from their comrades because they don't know what to say. And then we get police chiefs and folks that say, the bottom line is you can't talk to this person because it's an investigation. And the isolation these officers feel, sometimes we are the only ones that are communicating with them on a regular basis. And then again, from a 10,000-foot view, when you see officers who are being charged, and the Blue Line Lawyer Institute, we have our Force Forum. Our first Force Forum we did talked about political prosecutions, people being prosecuted because somebody's trying to make a name for themselves or get elected. We've seen that in Georgia.
Yeah.
When that happens, officers have no idea the cost of that defense, and to devastate not only their personal social network, but then also to decimate them financially is just hard to watch. So that's one of the reasons you'll hear me say it. I really support the Fraternal Order of Police and the Legal Defense Plan. The Fraternal Order of Police does a lot for officers everywhere, but the FOP Defense Plan is fantastic. We brought a woman to our first Force Forum, who all of you will recognize the name, Betty Shelby. She's the officer in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who shot someone. It was filmed with from a helicopter. Her criminal defense, and I'm gonna wait until after you finish pouring and you don't have anything in your mouth when I say this. Her criminal defense cost $440,000.
Woo! God Almighty!
And that doesn't count the security she had to pay for. But all she paid for that year was her FOP legal defense plan dues.
And
So she didn't pay
FOP
any of
covered
that.
everything else?
Yes.
Wow.
She paid $68. Now it's gone up since then. But the point is, we also brought her to our Force Forum because we wanted people to see exactly what it's like to be under that microscope. And then when you talk about personal cases in this specific, the case that you and I, our presentation kind of, and I see it as a presentation, answering questions and educating people.
Absolutely.
But that was right after Garrett Rolfe and Devin Brosnan were charged. And that was the shooting at the Wendy's.
Yes.
And it took 2.5 years for those officers to get cleared with a finding that there was no probable cause for their arrest. They were charged for 2.5 years. They were under scrutiny. And Garrett had to move about 11 times in that 2.5 years because of death threats. So when you can stand with someone like that, who did everything they were taught to do and did the right thing, and then face all of that world falling around them, what an honor. You know, you got to decide in life who you want to be a hero to.
That's right.
And if you decide properly and you throw yourself in 100%, you are never going to wake up in the morning wondering if you're doing the right thing.
Well, you know, and that's, we actually, what segment was that? Was that 4 or 5? We did a segment on the Rayshard Brooks shooting.
Yeah.
And
it was number 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was number 2 or 3, whatever, because it was a case that I was really, really following. And when I tell you right there, when you talk about doing it textbook, and I mean, these guys weren't rude, they weren't anything. I mean, I joke and say this guy was just one step away from giving his, you know, this guy a date or something. It's just unbelievable how nice these guys were to him. And then that happens, and then the officer is still crucified for it when he did nothing wrong. It was all political motivation. And that's why guys are like what Lucy said there. They need good people like Lance to make everyone know that officers are human. They make mistakes also. On this case, Lucy, this guy did everything, ability, opportunity, jeopardy. Yep. He did everything by the book and still got sent to jail and still got crucified because of politics and policing. And we talk about that, and it's a serious subject that still goes on today. And that's the reason why, guys like Lance LoRusso is so important, because we need a Lance LoRusso to cut through the bullshit and to really come out and tell the officer's story. So a lot of times we don't get to go to the news and just blab off at the mouth. No. You know, we need a guy like Lance to really lay the case out. So great job on that. And just hats off to you on that all the time.
Yeah, and I just want to bring up one other thing. A lot of people don't realize this, and here's my disclaimer, because every lawyer should have one. I'm licensed in Georgia, Arkansas, and Tennessee. So if you're someplace else, it's not legal advice. But the bottom line is, officers have...
I told you you're going to like this guy. I told you you're going to like this fucking guy.
But the bottom line is, officers have no First Amendment rights when you're wearing that uniform. So if you don't find another way, like the FOP or local pastors, to tell your story... If you don't tell your story, someone else will. That's what we talk about in the book, Blue News. And, right. You know, also telling the story afterwards. So a lot of your folks will recognize the name Secoria Turner. Secoria Turner was a little 7-year-old girl who was driving past the Wendy's that had been burned down. And she was in the car when these guys were blocking the road off, and they shot into the car and killed her. And you can go online, it's hard to find now, but you can go online and find the GBI arrest warrants. Those guys blocked off the roadway and shot and killed that little girl because they were members of the same gang, I'm not going to mention the name, same gang as Rayshard Brooks, and they took that over because an Atlanta police officer shot and killed their brother.
That's right. Wow. Yep.
So these gangs everybody's complaining about law enforcement, and gangs are the largest employer in the United States. They're deadly, they're dangerous, and they are steal the childhood of children.
That's right. Yeah, and you know, we don't like to see anybody get killed or shot or anything like that, but Rayshard Brooks' brother or little brother or nephew just got killed a couple of weeks ago in some gang-related stuff also. So again, it's just one of those things to where, listen, guys, we've got to recognize the facts. If an officer is wrong, then they're wrong. If an officer is right, then God dang it, they're right. And we need the community behind us to support it. Let me ask you this here, Lance. In your years of representing first responders, what legal or procedural changes have you seen, let's say, in the way of use of force cases, and how these changes have impacted the defense of officers?
All right, so I'll give you 3 examples, and I'm going to start with a national example that, I mean, look at me, but it might still curl my hair. I mean, it is scary, okay? And it's a retrospective analysis on the use of force, and it's basically a necessary standard. So Georgia and about 44 states use the reasonable belief standard. And the issue of a reasonable belief standard is you can have a reasonable belief and be 100% wrong. And that's just human nature. That's the law. Your belief was reasonable based on what you knew at the time. The necessary standard encourages people to go outside of what you knew and say, hey, we have learned a bunch of stuff later, so we're going to judge your use of force that way. And it is dangerous. Wow. There's different states that are using it. California went to it. Washington State, several states went to it. And when you think of the burden that puts the officer under, that's the first example. Here's the second example, and it kind of leads from that other one. There's this case that I tell people all the time when they haven't heard about it. It's like, 1989, Graham versus Connor, it's in all the papers. Don't criticize law enforcement if you haven't read Graham versus Connor. Right. Okay, it's written in English and you can read it. It's actually translated. You can read it. Mm-hmm. Graham versus Connor talks about a couple of things. Number one, to that necessary standard, that officers, and this is Justice Rehnquist, great language, that officers are often forced to make split-second decisions under circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving about the amount of force necessary in a given situation. All right, now let's take that for a second. The United States Supreme Court, 9 folks who have never stopped a car at 3 o'clock in the morning like we have. They have never gone to a domestic dispute when the neighbor heard somebody screaming and they don't know if there's 1 person, 12 people. They don't know if it's a murder-suicide and everybody in there's dead. Those folks said and recognized that officers are going to make decisions, and I'm going to boil Graham versus Connor down to a half a paragraph. You ready? Mm-hmm. Officers every day make decisions with incomplete information.
Absolutely. Very true.
And it's true. So the other thing that the Supreme Court said in Graham versus Connor is we are absolutely not going to judge officers, number one, with hindsight, and number 2, we're not going to judge them as a reasonable person standard. We're going to judge them with a reasonable officer standard. So this has been going on since 1989. And when you read Graham versus Connor, and we had an entire 4-hour block on Graham versus Connor in our Force Forum this past year. When you read Graham versus Connor, there's something else in there that even the anti-cop folks should like. They don't like anything, but maybe they'll like this, okay?
Right.
Graham versus Connor says that the officer's motivations, now just sit and think about this, don't fall off your chair. The officer's motivations are irrelevant. Right. Because a bad use of force will not change into a good use of force because the officer didn't mean it. Right. Just like a lawful use of force doesn't entitle the officer to be sued or prosecuted because they don't like people, because they're mean, because they had some bad intent. So all of the arguments you're seeing in the news right now, and we went all the way back to 1926 in this class, all of these arguments were rejected over the 60 years that it took the Supreme Court to bring themselves to Graham versus Connor. So all of this stuff you see, officers being fired because they liked a comment on Facebook, or we don't like what they said on their social media page. All of that was rejected by the Supreme Court in Graham versus Connor, which eventually said, we don't care how nice a guy you are. We don't care how bad a guy you are. Let's try this on for size. We care what you do.
That's right.
What a novel idea. If we cared what people did, we'd put bad guys in prison and keep them there. So that's the second thing that I see that's changed. And then the third one, I'm proud of Georgia, and I'm very proud of my involvement in this. Mm-hmm. Georgia has an immunity statute for criminal and civil. And up until this past year, an officer could not seek immunity if they were using force solely to make an arrest.
Wow, I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yep, that bothered me. Now you could use force and say, well, look, somebody was trying to hurt the person that was next to me, or I used force to stop a forcible felony. You could do that, but if somebody was not using force and you were just making an arrest, and let's say you chased them, you tackled them, and they hit their head on a rock and died, you couldn't say, well, I was using force just to make an arrest. Well, I don't have a chain of command. It's very liberating, and it made me mad. Can I say pissed me off on this?
You say whatever you want.
Okay, good. Well, it pissed me off. And we got the law changed. So the bill was SB Sierra Bravo 517. So people who are outside of Georgia can go look it up. I've had legislators from other states asking me about it. Now, a Georgia law enforcement officer can raise an immunity if they get charged. They can raise immunity in a criminal or civil case if they were using force solely to make an arrest. So here's the example I used with the legislators when I was talking to them. And I used a domestic violence example for obvious reasons because I was trying to poke at people. So an officer comes to a house and a woman's got her face swollen, her nose is broken, she's bleeding, and says, what happened? And the woman says, well, my boyfriend beat me up. So, well, where is he? Well, he's inside. He comes out and she says, that's him. And the officer says, did you do that? He said, yeah. He says, well, you're under arrest. Could you imagine the officer, if the guy says, no, I'm not staying around, and starts walking away, could you imagine the officer going, well, chief, he didn't want to stick around?
Yeah, I tried. Hey, tough luck. We tried.
You have to use force to do your job.
Right.
And in that scenario now, I mean, you use a taser, you tackle them, you do an arm bar, whatever it is. The bottom line is now officers can use that law, SB 517. It was signed into law on May 3rd, 2024. Brian Kemp supported us. The Attorney General, Chris Carr, supported us. We had Randy Robertson, Devin Seabaugh. A lot of legislators down there were very much supporting. And that's the last thing that I'll tell you about this. When that thing passed, when I told you I got an immunity bill passed in Georgia in 2024, you can admit it. You guys were like, he's fibbing. There ain't no way.
Right.
Don't listen to the noise. The public supports law enforcement overwhelmingly. Don't listen to the people who stand on a street corner because their mom ran out of meatloaf and they're out of the basement for a couple of hours. They don't speak for people. The men and women who go to work every day, who want to support themselves, take care of their kids, they support you.
Absolutely. And you know something, the thing is you said something earlier about communities who have opted not to have police presence and they're struggling. A lot of people, what they don't realize is that would directly affect the Black community more than any community out there if something like that happened, because we are the ones who's constantly basically calling 911 for whatever reason there is. There's a lot of different reasons, but it's directly affecting us when this shit happens. So don't listen to the fucking noise, like Lance is saying, because I'm going to take it. And Lance, I'm sorry, we just talk straight on this show here.
No, okay? I got you. I love it.
This is what our fans want. This is what they love, and this is.
I just came from court. I had to behave with what I'm saying. I've been looking forward to this for a week.
But don't listen to the noise, because the overall general community loves us. They love us. They know that in a time of need, we are going to be breaking ass to get there for your need. This is nothing that we're involved in. We're not getting our ass whooped.
And you know, I believe even the ones that don't particularly like law enforcement, they still know that our presence is needed.
Oh yeah.
Especially some of the ones who might preach that bullshit. Oh, you know, fuck the police and all this other stuff. They know deep down they're the main ones. As soon as they get socked in the face, we're the ones they're calling.
Or
well, I mean, and to your point, Daryl. To your point, Daryl. You know, when you talked about communities needing law enforcement, I'll tell you two things about that. First of all, defund the police is the fastest conceived, implemented, and failed social policy in United States history. So everybody can wear that button around and wear that sash. But I talked to a cop and he's probably about 50, one of those old cops. No, he's about 50. And this guy grew up dirt poor, grew up in a housing project, and he said, this no cash bail, this no bond is killing communities. He said, somebody in the community gets up the guts and calls the police and says, hey, this guy's terrorizing our community. He's wanted. We want him gone. When that guy shows back up an hour later after he's arrested, you have put those people's lives in jeopardy.
Right. That's right.
That is true.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That is true. And now, with that being said, even to piggyback off another point you made, when we're talking about things that help law enforcement officers, things that put us in a position where we can do our jobs, but we also know that there are laws out there that protect us. You've provided training to law enforcement officers across the country on topics like deadly force, crisis management. How does your training approach differently when you're preparing officers for facing these legal battles, these battles in courts, and even outside of just the day-to-day things that we have to deal with?
Sure. So I will tell you kind of how I present it from a cop perspective. And I note you got over 10,000 now.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So we go to defensive tactics classes. And what do we tell cops in defensive tactics? That you do what you have to do. You protect yourself. You get someone in custody with the appropriate amount of force. Officers are not required to use the least amount of force. That's a myth. Okay. But when we tell officers, when you're in a fight of your life, it's time to fight to survive. Right. And what I want to do with my classes is, first of all, tell officers, yes, you can fight, and yes, you can win. Because remember, I talked about that overwhelming nature of that. So you're an officer, hypothetically, actually not hypothetically, you're an officer and you get charged by the Attorney General of a state, not Georgia, might be Michigan, but you get charged by the Attorney General. Just imagine how that turns your world upside down. So we want them to know what the law is. We want them to know they have a fighting chance, but we also let them know realistically, $440,000 ain't pocket change. So you got to put something in place beforehand, and not just the money, not just the legal defense plan, but you got to put something in place to educate yourself. That's why I wrote When Cops Kill. When Cops Kill is a book to let people know what they can expect, as I say, when the smoke clears. There's going to be investigations. It's going to take time. You're going to be sidelined. You're going to be isolated. And then the other thing that I tell people, and the Blue Line Lawyer Institute is a think tank for law enforcement officers and the attorneys who defend them. People want to come to it who sue cops, and I tell them, that's great, go to somebody else's conference. No, you can't come. And they're like, hey, I'll pay your fee. It's like, it's not about money. It's never been about money for this. So we tell officers all the time that you need to find a plan, and we got plans for everything. We got SOPs for everything. When an officer is involved in a critical incident, whether it's a shooting, a bad car wreck, or even if they're injured in the wreck, you assign someone in your agency, hopefully on the command staff, who was not involved with their incident, and you own them. You call them every day. You go see them. We have had officers that were afraid to go to the grocery store because they thought the media was following them around. Bring them some groceries. Tell your buddies to go pick them up and bring them to an event at their house. Go watch an MMA fight. Watch a ball game. You can't let these folks get isolated. And as bad as you said these officer-involved funerals are, and I'm going to get torqued about this, I am done going to funerals for officers who have taken their own lives. One more is too many. We've had about 240 officers shot in the line of duty so far this year, 55 officers shot in ambushes. But when an officer takes their own life, my God, I mean, we've got to do everything we can to stop that.
Right.
And that's tough, because we was having a conversation with someone last week about how difficult this job is, even when you try to turn it off, even when you're talking about just your personal life. We went somewhere And just something as simple as when I walk into a restaurant, I never put my back to the door. Right. Little shit like that. It's just like, well, somebody asked, well, why do you do that? Well, if somebody come here showing their ass, I need to see who walked in here. And I just don't want to be vulnerable like that. And people don't understand that. So when you talk about officers, taking their lives and the pressure, not just the pressure from the public, but also the pressure from the scrutiny, the pressure from, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. We try to do our job to the best of our ability, but there are some times, like it's been said several times in these comments, where we're humans too, and there's a lot of weight on our shoulders that we have to carry as we try to enforce the law, especially in communities that, like we said, that really sometimes don't want us there, and it makes it twice as hard. But we still have to carry that shit home and live a regular life.
And when I'm talking to every cop who's watching, I just went to a departmental meeting yesterday, and a lot of the guys there was like, "We love the show. You guys are hilarious. Thank you for watching." But I will tell you this here: if you are not a member of the FOP, you are doing yourself an injustice. If you're not a member of the FOP, you don't have, most of us don't have $400,000 under our beds.
He does.
Well, my wife's
With his snacks.
It's right next to the snacks.
Right next to the
snacks.
I fucking love this guy. If you don't have the money, you will never be able to afford a Lance LoRusso. This is what the FOP is for. Pay your little $200 something, $300 a year, and know that if something happens, that you will at least be able, in the worst time of your life, be able to think of Lance's ugly face and say that, hey, at least I know I'm going to get a fucking Lance LoRusso. So for all of my cops out there that are watching this, get the FOP legal defense fund.
For the people, what does FOP stand for?
Fraternal Order of Police, what he is the attorney for. Okay. We don't have small-time people on here, son. I keep telling you this.
Hey, wait.
Okay.
I'm just saying for the people, because somebody's going to say in the comments in a minute, well, what is FOP?
That's our union. That's the police's union.
Do you see him giving us the Donald Trump hands? You see him?
I actually thought it was kind of cool.
Hey, I'm not going to even get involved in politics with this, but you know how I feel.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, let me point out something that Jeff said too, because it's really interesting, and I tell people this all the time. It's this belief going right to the officer did something wrong because of the outcome. So if somebody crash landed a plane at the Atlanta airport and 200 people died, and the pilot pushed the windshield out and walked out and said, "Man, that sucked," first we'd think of communication, airplane design, maintenance, training. Fifth down would be maybe that pilot committed a crime. So how do we get to a situation where you get a criminal that assaults a law enforcement officer, they defend themselves, they defend a third party, and immediately they want to put him in jail? And I'll tell you the other funny thing, because y'all got me riled up now. All right, so the other amazing thing is when everybody wants someone fired. Anybody on here who's in law enforcement, you know what Garrity is, okay? So you can force someone to talk to you right around the Fifth Amendment. You can force someone to talk to you if they are an employee. As soon as you fire them and you listen to the numbnuts on TV that want you to fire them, you lose the ability to find out what really happened and make your agency better.
That's right. That's right.
And I think that's the shit that happened to the officer in the
Rashad Brooks case, because you had you had a mayor, you had a district attorney who was up for re-election. I don't think the mayor was up for re-election, but she was the new mayor. But you had a district attorney that was up for re-election and wanted to get back in there. But when you're looking at these things right here, Lance, given your experience as a use of force expert and a firearm instructor, how do you advise officers, our peers, to prepare for the scrutiny that comes after a critical incident, especially when the media and the public is so quick to form opinions?
First thing is to educate. And I'm going to give you some talking points right now. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Body cameras will never show what the officer saw.
Right.
Ever. I don't care how good the body camera is. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to sit up a little bit. If the body camera is sitting on my third button right here, it's 16 to 18 inches below my eyes. It does not move right or left with my head. It sees differently in low light and no light. It also does not focus on a threat to the exclusion of everything else. So when somebody tells you, I looked at the body camera, I know what the officer saw, I'll give them two choices. They're dumb or stupid.
Sure.
Or I guess third, they're politically motivated.
Yeah.
Right.
But but that is true. If we're in an incident, we're facing this one perk, and then over here to
There's
the left,
another, right.
right, some shit's popping off. They didn't see why, this guy ended up getting hit here because shit's going on all over the place. And that the question that Trip asked me was such a good question, because when we talk about the scrutiny that we are under all the time, we are always under a microscope, and it's always what the officer saw and why the officer did it. Then you have a bunch of Monday morning quarterbacks that's at home in front of their TV that would like to say, what the officer did or what, but they really can't. They really can't based on that.
Right.
They can. And somebody mentioned, should we put the glasses on, and put the cameras in the glasses? Well, that's been tried. And anybody here who's been a cop for 10 minutes has been in a physical confrontation, and the first thing you look for when you get up is where your glasses are.
Right.
Now, Lance, it's funny you asked that, because we just had a comment right before you said that. We got Liz. She said, would the Ray-Ban recording glasses be better? Right before you said that, and that was her question.
Yeah, the only good thing about the Ray-Ban glasses is you look cool, but it's not going to solve the problem.
Right. Yeah, right.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. Good deal.
So that's a big thing, in educating and telling your story. And that's what, all the profits from my nonprofit books, my nonfiction books, go to law enforcement charities. To date, we've donated over $40,000. So people can go to bluelinelawyer.com and find the books. And of course, you can buy them on Amazon, because you can buy everything on Amazon. Okay. But we try to get people to go to the website, bluelinelawyer.com, because we have more money to donate. But in Blue News, we talk about your opportunity to get this information out. Yeah, you may not have a Fox News show that you can do that on, but you can go talk to your church group. You can go talk to the Kiwanis. You can go talk to your neighborhood watch folks and let them know, look, these officers are doing the best they can. And just because you see something on a body camera doesn't mean that's what the officer saw. You got to tell your story, or someone else will.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, I think it's a fantastic job you're doing, buddy. And I'm telling you now, I feel so much better knowing that Lance LoRusso is on a job than anything.
That's it.
That means a lot. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, last question, and this is, I think it'll kind of sum up like everything that we've talked about. We got Malcolm Cruz in the house. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm. We love you.
To kind of sum up everything, you've lectured to law enforcement officers from over 25 states, various federal, agencies. What key insights or takeaways do you hope these officers gain from your training, especially when they find themselves in these high-stake legal situations?
All right, so I'm gonna go deep here. Y'all ready? And I hadn't even had a shot of bourbon.
Let's go.
What I want them to walk away with is, please don't walk away. And I'm telling you right now, I have talked to so many cops at that 20-year mark who were like, man, I'm ready to pop smoke and tell my family and my friends and the kid who works at the Stop and Rob down the street and the people that I coach in Little League don't ever go into law enforcement. And all I tell them is, please don't. because we need you. You know, I mean, we've heard the Bible phrase, Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers. We
That's
know about
right.
Isaiah 6:8.
I
Who
got
will
it
I
right
send?
here.
Send me. There you go.
I
Who
got it
will I
right here.
send? Send me. But if we start losing the elders of our profession like we're losing right now, it's bad. I tell them to have a plan, Jeff, to answer your question. I tell them that there's a way out of this. Have a plan. Don't despair. Get ready for a long and winding road because it's going to take time. It's going to take time to get through these things. And, you know, as Daryl said, you got to have that plan in place. You got to have that network in place. And you don't have to do this on your own. There's so many things that we have to do our own, you know, being that sole officer, making the decision to go up to that door and knock on that car window at 3 a.m. to make a traffic stop. But when you're talking about preparing for something happening, a critical incident, first of all, it could happen to you. And anybody's listening, I'm going to say it. It could happen to you.
That's right.
No matter how good you are, no matter how tactically sound you are, you could wind up in a situation where you're in the crosshairs of something, and you've got to be able to take care of yourself and your family.
Right.
Now, Lance, real quick question. And this is one this off script, but I know there out of the 10,000 people that are watching right now, there's a good bit of officers in here that are also watching. When we talk about FOP, Fraternal Order of Policing, is it just protection from what happens in the field, or do these officers also have the protection from, let's just say, things happen at their agency where they will need help
that's a good
or
question.
support, you know, from, let's say, a sergeant or whatever, you know, some legal situation that has happened has put their back to the wall, even from their agency, not just from an individual in the streets?
Yeah, I got you. So it's FOPlegal.com if people want to learn more about it, FOPlegal.com. But it's, if you get the administrative, there's criminal, civil, and administrative. And if you get the administrative coverage, it will cover all of those disciplinary actions. It'll cover post investigations, all of that. If you get the basic coverage, it'll cover civil and criminal defense and having an attorney there. But, you know, and I tell people all the time, here's the bottom line. If you get into a shooting, there's an internal affairs investigation that's going to come with it too. So getting one without the other, I mean, it's $324 a year. And if you think about that, my legal rate is $500 an hour and $300 an hour for you know, public safety people. So basically with an hour and 15 minutes of what I would charge you, you can have unlimited legal defense. I don't understand how somebody wouldn't do that.
Right. I've done mine.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I've done mine. I'm still sworn and I've done mine.
And I'm telling you now, I was in a situation where I needed a Lance LoRusso and I did not have coverage at the time. I let it lapse. And I'm telling you, we all know, you know, money, how it is. There is no excuse. Join FOP, get the legal defense fund, FOPlegal.com. That's the right address there, right, Lance?
Yeah, that should be it. Now here's the other thing I'll tell you is people forget and they don't renew. So tie it to something. Father's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, your anniversary with the department. You know, tie it to something so you won't forget, because it happens to people. And you know, they're not gonna, you have to have the coverage at the time that the incident occurs.
Right.
It's like car insurance.
And one of the things that I found out the hard way on that. And when Lance told me his fees, I was like, well, you know what? This is a big kick in the ass for me because I should have made sure that I was up on my stuff. And I am now, and I make sure that now every year it's paid. I don't give a damn what doesn't get paid. That's going to get paid, because there's no way I'm not sleeping with $400,000 under my bed, you know. And this is going to be, it's next to the fucking snacks. And but you know, no one general person can afford that. So again, FOP Legal Defense Fund, Lance LoRusso.
But $300 a year, that's still not bad.
It's not bad at all.
I mean, that's
your night at the strip club.
That's the 5 mocha latte, 4 pumps of sugar you shouldn't be drinking anyway a week.
Cut out 2 Starbucks a week. You can afford it. But yes, that is a night for me at the strip club.
That's a night for this guy at the strip club here,
But
Lance.
still, damn it.
You can even pay it in singles. I don't know if that's what you want to do. However works for you.
Hey, listen, the strippers need love too, okay, Lance? You gotta take care of them too.
I think Socrates said that, actually. Strippers
Yes,
need
he
love
did.
too, didn't he?
One of the wisest men who ever lived. He said, and I quote, "Pay thy strippers."
Strippers needeth love too. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Strippers needed the love too. Absolutely.
Hey, Lance LoRusso is in the house with us right now. Lance, I appreciate you so much for coming on and at least taking the time to answer the questions for our fans who really want to know how police think. Why do we do what we do, and what's the legal ramifications of it? You know, when you see these cases getting dismissed, is it some type of government cover-up? No, it's not a government cover-up. It's that the case should have never been brought to the officer to begin with.
Yes.
And a lot of people here, where we're based out of, is in Atlanta area. It's a very high profile case about the Rayshard Brooks case, and everybody just trampled on this officer. And Lance and I were the first ones who said, no, hold on, take a breather a second. Let us explain to you the reason why, what the law says, why the officer did what he did, and why he's not wrong. Once we explain that, man, I'm telling you now, a lot of comments, they were still calling in, but they were going to like, well, I don't understand the stop and frisk in New York City. That has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
So that's when you know you got it, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I really appreciate Lance LoRusso coming on. It's an honor. It's a fucking honor for us to have you on here, brother. Every cop in the state of Georgia and in the world should know this man right here, Lance LoRusso.
Know and appreciate it.
Absolutely, because he goes to bat for the officers. Like I said, if you guys ever see me in an orange jumpsuit other than this shirt right here, you know that I have at least already had my wife try to attempt to call the FOP to get Lance LoRusso. So thank you, brother, for coming on. God bless you. We love you. You're a friend of the show. We hope to have you back.
Thanks for having me. And if I could just, I just want to say something, for the
Sure.
people that are not law enforcement, sometimes it can be intimidating to approach a bunch of cops that are sitting there having lunch or just an officer on the street. Go up and say hello and thank them. And if you're wondering whether you should do that or not and what they're all about, and that's why this show is so valuable, to letting people know the cops are people. You'll see that badge. They always wear it on the left side. And underneath that badge is a heart, just like everybody else. And it's a big heart. It's big enough to take society's dangers on their shoulders. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and please support the blue. Thanks for what y'all do, guys.
Thank you, Lance. God bless you. Thank you for coming on, buddy. Thank you so much. All right, people. Well, we've heard it. I mean,
that was good. That
I
was
don't
a
know.
lot of good information.
I don't know how much better you want it.
I mean,
I don't know how much better you want it.
what else could we give them?
I mean, Jesus.
I mean,
What
we
else?
could give them that $400,000 under your bed next to the snacks, but
You ain't getting that.
yeah, because he protects it with his guy. I told y'all. If anything, and those questions at the beginning has anything to do with food, with Daryl.
Oh, we're going to fight for that.
Yes, yes.
Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, people, this guy, Lance LoRusso, is, he's the GOAT. When it comes to law enforcement, critical incident situations, this is the reason why I search for the best people to come. Thank you. Thank you, Lola. Appreciate you. Thank you. God bless you. We don't just go half-cocked on this show. Half-cocked. Yeah. That's what you were doing last week, half-cocked. You were not fucking sick. I don't believe that.
Yes, I had COVID.
This dude uses-
Ask my mother.
She
She would tell you.
Listen, these fans were scrambling about you last week. And I'm telling you right now, Jeff was at a titty bar somewhere having
I
fun.
wish that probably would have made me feel better, but I got everybody sick. You know what's funny about that? I had went. That was 2 days prior. I did. I went to the strip club, and I believe that's where I got the shit from.
You probably did. You think?
I believe that's where I got it from.
Not your strange hooker at the strip club.
Like, yeah. I mean,
She never has COVID. What am I thinking?
Still, I was thinking I'm about to go have a few drinks, smoke a cigar, have a good time. Next thing you know, I left with titty
COVID.
titty glitter, and COVID. That's what I'm left with. Titty glitter and COVID.
I've had some titty glitter in my day too, but not since I've been married. I do want to express that loud and clear. I haven't had any titty glitter in 18 years. I'm probably overdue. Okay. So, people, let us take a quick station identification. We're going to come back and we're going to get into media relations when it comes to police. We'll be right back. Do not turn that down.
With over 50 years of experience and a perfected 100% American-made manufacturing process, Tallman Pools sets the standard for excellence in fiberglass pools, spas, and tanning ledges. That's right, our pools aren't just pools, they're works of art. Meticulously crafted to bring beauty, relaxation, and endless enjoyment to your backyard. And when it comes to quality, Tallman Pools doesn't cut corners. Ready to take the plunge? Contact Tallman Pools today at 770-478-2257 or shoot us an email at contactus@tallmanpools.com. Visit us at 8993 Tara Boulevard, Jonesboro, Georgia 30236. Tallman Pools, where luxury meets craftsmanship.
Okay, people, we're back. Thank you for that already. People, we had Lance LoRusso. We had freaking Lance LoRusso on. Right now, we're at 9,925 streams. Thank you guys so much. Like and share the streams. Like and share the streams, please. This is the only way that people know about the support show. This is the only way that people know that cops are human too. We are human, and I like being human.
I like being human. It's okay. So
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So I haven't been anything else.
I haven't been nothing else. I'm not an alien or nothing. You know.
Maybe a past life. Maybe.
No. I was a stud in the past
I think I was
life.
a dog in my past.
No, I was a stud. I was a porno stud
Jesus.
in the past life.
We're getting canceled.
Well, we might get canceled, but I was still a porno stud before I had all these kids in the past life. All right, that's what I was before I was a freaking father. Okay, something else that's very important here. Does the media portray police officers accurately and inaccurately? I think we all know the answer to that. Go on to the next slide second. I'll take the first one. The roles of media in society impacting policing and legal cases. Understanding the media's importance, the history and the influence of it. Next slide. Thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody like and share. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
that shit's too
that's too
small.
goddamn on small. And our
I don't know what
producers,
you was thinking.
I don't know what I was
We've
thinking either.
We've had 3 cups of Woodford. You thought you was gonna read that little shit?
Well, you know
You
what?
can't read it sober, motherfucker. Look at that. God
All right,
damn.
so we're going to talk
Can
about.
the producer read it?
Can the producer read it? Can the producer read it for
Go
us?
ahead, Micah, producer. Can you read that, please? I'm sure it's important, but this motherfucker. I told y'all when I get here, they roll out the red carpet.
Freaking cheers.
I just come. I'm David Ruffin. Okay, in this I am David.
I can read it. Explanation of media roles in society. Information, disseminated, education. No, seriously. And sharpening public opinions. Example of how the media information informs and educates the public. Quotes, statistics on media influence in society. Next slide. Okay. Original media. Early forms of communication, e.g., town and newsletters. Years of the modern news reporting in the 17th century, with the first the news media has been around since the 17th century, is basically what it's saying. In relations in 1605. The evolution of media from print to radio, TV, and digital platforms. So media has been around, all that slide is, media has been around a very long fucking time. And now, one of the things with the media, they have to keep in mind of the importance of accuracy in reporting to the people.
They don't care about that shit.
They don't care. They care about fucking ratings.
That's it.
All right? That's what I want to tell you right now. But they care about ratings. This is the media business, not the truth-telling business. It's the media business, and it's what gets you to click on the headline. Yes. So when you see Atlanta police officer shoots and kills unarmed black man, they don't tell you that he just took their taser, shot one of them in the face, and running away.
Or the motherfucker had a goddamn bazooka. They'll tell you that.
Right, they don't tell you that part at all. Going to the next slide. Oh, hold on a second. The challenges in maintaining accuracy. Remember, these reporters are on a deadline basis because their producers are always pushing them to, hey, come on with the deadline. Let's go. And the bias and misinformation. So a lot of times they're taking just the first thing that sounds good that's going to get you to click on that article, that article, no matter whether it's true or not.
And they're going to make the shit sound 10 times worse than what it is. Sometimes, yes.
Go into the next slide. Responsible journalists is very important. Go into the next slide. Yeah, I know I skipped that.
Somebody said B. They're late.
B? What the hell?
They're very
Dude,
late.
You are just getting on the show. You're late. Calm down. Example of how media coverage and police incidents, e.g. shootings and protests. Now, let me tell you something. I do want to talk about this for a second. This is the reason why it's so important for us to stay on topic. Every time that there is a police shooting, that does not always relate to riots and protests.
And it shouldn't.
And it should not. And I'll tell you the reason why. Get the full story first. Hear it from the police department. Like Lance said, you can't even always believe the body cam footage because that may have seen something, that body camera footage is pointing straight on. That officer may have seen something to the left or right that made him react to it.
But,
so go ahead.
No, I'm going to step further. You know, when you talk about the specific topic that you're talking about, fuck, half of Atlanta was on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Before the whole truth came out.
Absolutely.
During that event.
Absolutely.
With Sean Brooks' case.
Absolutely.
And then when the shit really came out, it was like, oh, my bad. Well, fuck, it's too late.
Well, you don't hear nothing else about that.
Because you burnt down businesses. There was a shop I took my kids to downtown Atlanta called the College Football Hall of Fame. They fucked that up.
Yeah.
That shit's still under renovations right now. And this was damn near 4 years ago.
And you're talking about other black businesses that you're tearing up, by the way. Okay? You're talking about other black businesses that you're tearing up. Why we're so busy, we're going to go out here and riot and we're going to really show the police what. You're not showing them anything.
I think it is an outlet already. Like, they already
want to do it.
Want to tear shit up.
Yeah.
And so when some shit happened, it's like almost like a reason. You know what? This officer shot this nigga. Let's go tear up fucking crystals.
So the importance of, I call it journalism integrity. If it bleeds, it leads. You ever heard that expression? That's what a lot of these journalists and these news producers do. Now,
but is there such thing as journalistic integrity?
It should be. If it's not,
it should be. No, but those sleazebags will try to take whatever they can, especially when there's a law enforcement officer involved, to try to get ratings, likes, get their name out there, even if the shit is not correct or 100% accurate.
Right. And that's what leads. That's what they're interested in, the clicks on their story is what this drives. That's all this drives. That's all this drives.
And one thing Lance did say, and people don't understand this. People do not understand this. When shit like this happened, and this officer, he lives in a regular neighborhood, his life is turned upside down when things like this happen, and people escalate this shit before they know the truth and know what's going on. And that's why, people, once again, like Lance LoRusso is so important, because he's the one that's going to fight for that officer who did his job to the T, did everything he was supposed to do, but he can't even go back home because the people in his neighborhood know where he lives and they're on his ass. And that's not fair, especially if you have kids. Now, could you imagine, talking to you,
Go ahead.
could you imagine if something happened at work and you couldn't even come home because you got people in your front yard threatening you and doing all this shit? But when we step outside and start plucking their ass off one at a time, are we wrong?
No.
No. Well, why? But that's how officers have to live when shit like that goes sideways.
Well,
and they were right from the beginning.
right. And another thing that we've got to think about as our community, explain better, please. I'm trying to explain it better. I don't know how best to explain it to you. Don't always listen to what you hear on the media first. Okay? Doing this job every day, I can tell you right now, you're making split-second decisions. And like Lance said, we're human. So we're going to make mistakes. Okay? Now, does that give us the authority to go out here and to be reckless and non-caring and stuff like that? No, that's not what we're saying. No, that's not what Lance is saying. What Lance is saying is a prudent officer doing his job, reasonably responsible, all right? And he goes out here and he follows the law, and just because it's not what the public wants to hear or see, that does not mean that we throw this guy in fucking jail. That could be me. That could be Jeff when he's awake. That could be any of us.
Or sober or not
or sober or not sober, yeah. That could be any of us. So for God's sakes, don't believe the hype. Get your information first. Go on to the next slide.
Yes, but I will say this. When that shit happened, so I'm new to this area. When that shit happened, I lived about 2 hours away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And when that shit happened, in the officers from my agency 2 hours away to say, can you come and help?
Do you know why?
Because the Atlanta Police Department had protested the bullshit that the mayor had
These
done.
officers were quitting
They were
left
not,
and right.
They were not answering calls.
They
refused to answer calls.
said, fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they said. They said, if our mayor is going to throw us under the bus like that for doing the legal right thing, even though it's not politically in the public's eye, if the mayor's going to throw us under the bus like that, fuck it, we quit. You had officers walking off the job saying, I quit. Mm-hmm. This is not the way it's supposed to be. So then, who is going to answer your 911 call? Who's going to take your accident reports? Who's going to come to domestic violence? Who's going to come to your missing child? Who's going to come to the fight in progress? Who's going to come to any 911 call? No one. They have to call officers in.
They call GSP from all over Georgia. And jokers from Valdosta. GSP from Valdosta was driving to Atlanta to take these calls because they had nobody to do it.
They were stupid for doing it. I love those guys.
They had to.
But they
had to.
They were still interested in public safety. The problem is that you had other law enforcement chiefs who said, fuck that. No. I'm not sending them.
You threw your own
you did to your own.
Yeah.
I'm not sending my guys down there
so you can do the same thing.
To them.
And that's what my chief said. I told you, we was 2 hours away. Our chief was like, fuck no. And our chief at the time was from Atlanta.
Yeah.
And he was like, no.
Yeah.
I saw how fast you threw your own under the bus. I'm not going to send my guys up there
to
do the same bullshit, especially when they're protesting, throwing shit, burning shit, doing dumb shit.
At the end of the day, who suffers? The person that's calling 911. Mm-hmm. That's why I say it affects the African American community far more than it affects any other community.
Yes.
Up north, they can afford security, iron gates, stuff like that.
But that shit's going south. One of the defund the police movements, they did that shit in a northern town. I won't call it out, and they did that shit, and the community suffered. They're still suffering. The body had to hire security agencies to come and answer calls and protect the cities. So they seen that shit firsthand. That's not going to work. That's not the solution.
And the thing from the media is that you guys are fueling. You guys are the gasoline on the fire. When you do misinformation like that, you're taking gasoline and pouring on the fire for ratings. So at some point, that's why it's called media integrity, for God's sakes. You're causing officers to put their lives at risk. You're causing civilians to put their lives at risk. And that is problematic. That is problematic right there. Go ahead to the next slide.
Next slide.
Next slide. Okay. Between the discussion of trust between police and communities in the light of the media coverage. Example, how negative media can portray and erode trust, the LA riots, Rodney King. Okay, that's another good one right there. Roles of the media in building or breaking down community relations.
For the young folk who don't know who Rodney King is,
Google
it. We'll give you a snapshot. But it was a simple traffic stop that went left. It was fucking 8 officers whooping his ass at one time. Just Google it, take a look at it. But it's always been like that. Like, the shit has always been like that. When officers are involved, the media love that shit. And that's another reason why it's important for you guys to understand that the media is going to tell you, like, the media is like fishermen, right? You guys are the fish. They want to get you hooked as soon as possible so that you can carry on with that bullshit. And next thing you know, decisions are made based off of media, with the clout that the media has gained off of hooking you guys like fish. But when you understand the real story and what happens behind the scenes, like the real deal, then that's when it will change the game. That's when the media will lose their power and they have no other choice but to discuss shit that actually happened.
That's right.
Facts.
The facts of what happened. Go to the next slide. How media reporting can influence legal cases, jury,
shit.
yes,
That's
perceptions, and public pressure. Examples: the impact of media on the O.J. Simpson trial.
I was just thinking about O.J. I think that nigga did it, but that's besides the point. But that's besides the point. The point is, yes. Listen, I remember I was a kid when that shit happened. That was in the mid 90s, 96, 97.
That's right.
Like that. Right. You
I remember that.
Yes. And but come on, guys.
Well,
the media will twist some shit. And that motherfucker played football. He was in the police.
And I believe that there has to be some type of legislation.
Legislation. What is it? This is the
Welcome to the Wolford. A legislation that holds the media accountable for defamation of character and wrongful media blasts like that. It's the only way we stop this. It's the only way that we stop this. Because if you're looking at things like the high profile cases that we're having, and they're just saying anything to make it go viral, then, hey, guess what, guys? Then, I mean, we're the butt of the joke here. Because we're going to go out here, we're going to tear things up, we're going to do this, we're going to get shot and killed by the police, we're going to get arrested, there's going to be other legal infractions that happen to us, jail time, missed time work, all this other stuff for media headlines because they hyped us up to do it. So it's very, very important. Impact on legal and criminal cases. Next slide.
Next slide.
Okay. Case studies and examples. We all know about the Trayvon Martin case. We all know about the Richard Jewell case, the false accusations in the Atlanta bombing. When the Atlanta bombing happened, the the Olympics. Okay, we were all, most of us, except for these young guys, were here during that. Lessons learned in the roles of responsibility of journalism. Everybody threw this guy under the bus automatically without getting all the facts straight. Period, point blank. In the Trayvon Martin case, the media, the whole frame of the incident there. Okay, so we got to be careful of, yeah, we listen to the media, we get the news from updated information, but you got to take that shit with a grain of salt sometimes. Okay, you got to take it with a grain of salt. That does not mean get your sneakers on, Vaseline up, and go out here and start rioting and tearing shit up. Okay, that's not what that means. That means, okay, I hear what the media say, I got to investigate a little further. Next slide. Media Responsibility Act. Okay, Amendment 1.2.9.1. Regulations of the Media Overview. Congress shall. Now, this is important. This is important right here. Okay, this is First Amendment. Listen to this. I'm going to read this sober and clear. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment or prohibiting the free exercise, therefore, of the freedom of press, okay, or the rights of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for different grievances and stuff like that.
We had a comment come in. Jay in here. We see you. All good names are taken. Thank you for coming in.
Yes. So, under the Media Responsibility Act, it's already in the First Amendment that we can't sort of limit the media of reporting to you, which is fine because it's got to be transparent. But what we're saying is that it has to be responsible. It has to be transparent, and it has to be responsible. It has to be responsible. You can't just go off of clickbait. All right, next slide. Should there be criminal charges for irresponsible media coverage?
Yes, absolutely it should be. Absolutely it should.
Why do you think that?
Okay, so I believe if you spread information that puts the public in harm's way or creates situations that put other innocent parties in harm's way, yes. If the media spread false information, whoever said the shit,
whoever the journalist
and
is,
then somebody go out there and start out there and riot based off what they said, and 3 people died, yes, I think they should take a fucking manslaughter charge because what they said ignited the people, and it was not true.
So we have to balance the freedom of the press with the need for accurate reporting. Okay, potential criminal charges: defamation, liability, and slander. Defamation, publishing false information that harms someone's reputation. Example: high-profile defamation cases involving public figures. All right. So what Jeff is saying, this affects people's lives. The media is a very powerful tool.
Very
powerful.
If they start saying shit that is not true, then yes, they should be held accountable. Just like we were held accountable for the shit that we do, they should be held accountable also. They hide under, First Amendment right, we get to say whatever. No, bitch, if you said some wrong shit and you cause people to go out here and fucking fluster the community on some dumb shit, no, you need to be held accountable for that. I stand on that.
So I want you to think about
because guess who got to come and put that fucking fire out?
We do.
That's like we do.
So I want you guys to think about this here. Picture, instead of the police, it's you.
Go out there and go do that shit.
No. It's you that the media has portrayed wrong. Heaven forbid your wife, your child comes up missing, dead, something like that. The media jumps to conclusions and they point the finger at you.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You.
And you're gonna be like, what the fuck?
You know
Like,
goodness
no,
damn well you
it's-
had nothing to do with it. And
It's
they,
all mess.
that's right. See, to point at you or your family or your loved one, you know Tyrone was with you when this happened. He didn't do it. Okay? So, because I have a nephew named Tyrone, and that's my brother, and I love him.
But it could be Connor. Right?
Connor O'Connor.
Connor was there.
Connor was there.
Snorted coke.
He was drunk,
He was
snorting
right
coke
there.
and doing meth.
Yeah.
All right.
Or Miguel.
We're getting canceled. I swear to God, we're fucking getting canceled. Okay.
Listen, we are winding down.
We are winding down right now. We've been on for exactly 1 hour and 35 minutes. Thank you guys for hanging in with us. Okay. Next slide here. Is that the next slide? Okay. Public engagement. Yes, I can. Definition. Reporting that incites panic or violence. False reporting leading to riots. Examples, situation or media coverage that led to public unrest. Obstruction of justice, defamation, media interference, and legal investigations, e.g., compromising witness testimonies. Examples, cases where media coverage has impacted the fairness of a trial. So
Yes.
that's another thing. We didn't think about that.
The glove didn't fit. He
You must have quit.
But his ass did.
But he was found not guilty by a jury.
That shit
All right, next slide. Okay, incitement to violence, we already talked about that. A lot of these coverages come up, cop shoots unarmed black man, news at 11. Cop hits and kills family of 5 coming home from church.
But you know what's crazy about how society uses? And this is really crazy. I'm about to take this shit home, y'all. If it's a white officer who did it, society goes nuts.
Mhm.
If it's a black officer who do it, society doesn't say anything.
Well, I think because the what fuels that is the race, the racial relations between black and white and stuff like that. So they know that gets more clicks, that gets more leads, that gets more views.
But we're talking about how the media spins the shit.
Right, which is
a white
wrong.
officer, just like the Sonya Massey case.
Right.
White officer, black woman, they spent that shit. But could you imagine how many other cases are just like that don't get spent by the media? Black officer, there was it 5 or 6 black officers who was doing some personal shit with a dude, ended up killing him.
Yeah.
But they
said that
sparked
dude
for a little bit.
it was
personal.
personal. Like this guy was
But he
banging their
still
girls
did
or
it
something
on
like
his
that,
yeah,
right.
no, fuck that. That shit doesn't matter.
Right.
What I'm saying is, I'm showing y'all how the media will spin it. How
Right.
the media gonna put it on it. But I'm telling you right now, if black on black, a black officer kills a black teen and it's not legit, you're not gonna see that shit in the media.
Well, but we can look at the same thing with black on black crime too.
Of course.
That's
what I'm saying.
right, absolutely.
My point proved.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't look on my phone and see where there's
Well,
a
we see
shooting
it
in Atlanta
ourselves.
or responding to a call or something like that, and it's black on black crime.
Yes,
That does
shit's
not
not
get the
no.
media attention.
It-
Black
it-
Lives
it
Matter
doesn't
don't
make
come
money.
out right.
It doesn't make money.
Black Lives Matter does not come out in March. They don't do any of that crap. But if it's a white police officer that shoots a black guy or a woman, then oh my God, it's a big deal.
Double A, NCP, I said that wrong, but you know what I mean. Black Lives Matter, motherfucking
Who's the dude that come out all the time? Benjamin Crump's coming out.
Crump, yeah.
Crump's coming out.
Now-
He's on the next
now,
thing
you know-
smoking.
Yes, you know, if Crump's there, you know, Crump gonna jump on what make money.
Right.
But they still go back to, you know, how the media spins the shit.
How they spin it. So we got to be careful.
Al Sharpton,
Right.
his ass.
Right.
Jesus.
All I'm saying is,
Don't get me
guys,
started.
is that we've got to be careful how we portray and what we ingest from the media. Okay? Thank you. Really not just fun, but gives. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's what the whole purpose of this show is for. Is two cops sitting around with their family and friends, which are you, and we're discussing cases, and we're discussing them on the real life basis that you don't get to hear regular police talking on. And that's important because we're human, just like you're important. I don't want to see another police-involved shooting. I don't want to see another fucking cop being killed. I don't want to see another police officer having to shoot a black guy, white guy, Spanish guy, anything. I think that we've tried everything else. We've tried the rioting, we've tried this, that, and the other. Let's try talking, communicating, getting to know each other.
What works? What can we do? You guys answer this. This question.
Go on to the next slide.
What can we do to actually make an impact that's not rioting, tearing up property? Like our voices, and I say we because I am a black man, but still, it's not all about.
Go ahead. I'm not even.
Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm Asian. Right, I'm Asian. I know you can't tell. But what can we do that could give a bigger impact on forward movement, right? Like we already know, like rioting won't do it. But what can we do? So that's the question that you got to ask yourselves. Put it in the comments if you have an answer. Put it in the comments.
So legislation requires the media outlets to correct errors publicly and promptly. Penalties for failing to issue timely retractions or corrections. So yeah, you may say police officer shoots and kills unarmed black man, news at 11. All right, everybody goes up in arms, and this may run 24 hours a day for the next 7 days, right? When you find out that this guy took the officer's taser, fought the officers, shot at the officers with the taser, and then leaving the officers no other choice, they had to return fire to stop this guy. That's one little blurb Sunday at 3 o'clock in the morning when nobody's watching. There's one little blurb. And then you fulfill this requirement right here. Instead of making it a big deal that, hold on, it's not what we thought, what we gave you. What we gave you, we thought was the right information at the time, but now we're learning that this guy had a fucking taser. The officers were not rude or disrespectful to him. All right? He took the officer's taser. The officers begged him, stop fighting, put your hands behind your back. He couldn't have been more nicer to this guy. And he chose the action. They retract that with very little. All right? Next slide. Now, it is important to have freedom of the press. It is important to have freedom of the press. I'm going to say it one more time. It's important to have freedom of the press. That is how we get our information. It has to be responsible journalism.
Out here fucking lying and spreading dumb shit. That's the point.
And then particularly in law enforcement. Because they know it's a hot button topic. That their ratings are going to shoot through the roof when you have a cop, especially a white cop, that shoots, especially a black man or a black woman. They know that everyone's going to click on that, and their ratings are going to go through the roof. And that equals dollars to them. So we got to understand something.
Your buffoonery equals dollars for the media. The more dumb shit y'all do, the more money they make.
So we need a balance for media and the freedom and accountability. The importance of ethical journalism and maintaining public trust and safety is paramount. Okay? It's paramount. Paramount.
Just niggas paramount.
Yes, it's paramount. All right? So people, take away of all this here, if you're a cop, join the FOP. All right, that $300 a year ain't gonna make or break you. I know bills, car payments, insurances, all that.
Fuck them bills.
Right, fuck those bills. Join the FOP.
If some shit go down,
Okay.
you don't have FOP,
You're screwed.
then you screwed in.
You're screwed. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Don't depend on your department to back you.
Oh,
Because
hell.
your department
Will
may
turn
be
their back on you faster than a goddamn lickety fucking
the
split.
first time they see a way out, you
They gonna take
didn't follow one little thing, had nothing to do with this.
Nope.
You didn't turn your body camera on, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Then you are screwed. Pay the $300. Listen, I'm a big proponent for the FOP. All right? Because thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much. I was in that position where I needed the FOP and I forgot to pay my dues. And I had to find other sources to defend my case. When if I would have done what was right and been on my game, I wouldn't have had to do that. FOP would have been right there for me. All right.
to the 400,000.
I had to go to the stash. All right. So, but believe me when I tell you, pay the $400. Get your local FOP. No matter where you're watching in the United States of America, there's an FOP. If you're a cop, there's an FOP. Join the FOP. Get the Legal Defense Fund. If you're in the states that where Lance is, you better request Lance. Go ahead.
I remember my father was a part of
Your dad was a cop?
Mhm.
I did not know that.
it. I remember.
Security or cop?
I said, and on the back of his truck, he had a little sticker. He used to give a sticker back in the day when you signed up for FOP. And there was a star.
That's
And
right.
the FOP was in the wings of the star. That's how I remember.
That's right.
On the back of his 1985 Chevy Silverado.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I've got them. Go on to the next slide. I've got them. Ladies and germs, and my friends and family, we have come to another episode, the end of episode of Ask
Another one.
Another one, like
DJ
Khaled. Another one.
Another one.
I don't know what episode this is because
I
I
think
just
this
didn't
is
put it at the
nine.
bottom.
The bottom is wrong because it says episode 8.
Yeah, that's okay.
Somebody probably pointed it out.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, I think this is 9.
Yeah.
We still love y'all.
Yeah, this is number 9. We love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Also, be sure to click the link there. Buy some merch. Someone
Click
asked
the link.
earlier in the program, how do we get you guys on every day? Buy some merch. Support the channel. This shit costs money. And-
I'm telling you right now, if I could turn my camera and show you the production, I'm telling you, Pookie and Ray ain't behind the scenes.
Ain't behind the scenes. This is a professional ran production, and that's how
I mean,
we
the
like
producer does look like Jesus, but when he shaved his beard up, I mean, he looks nice.
like Jesus.
He's nice to have some photo, you know. But, yeah,
But yeah, like and support the channel. So like, subscribe, and share. Don't be cheap. Buy some merch. We tell you guys this every week.
I did that also.
Jesus Christ. All right, I'm your boy Daryl Triplett,
And I'm Jeff.
and we will see you guys next
See
week
y'all
with
next
another
week.
hot topic. You don't want to miss it coming up.
Yes.
All right, take care. Peace.
Love y'all.